It's finally here. Miss P's official family tree, plus all the fox lore you've ever wanted. You already know Miss P, right? She's our impatient, inquisitive, honey-loving, bitey, strokeable, gorgeous girl. But she wasn't the first fox to ever grace my garden. Let's go back to almost 10 years ago. My family put out barbecue leftovers for the seagulls to have, but foxes got there first. The next night, the foxes came back, so I put out a bit of leftover dinner. And then the next night, they came back again, so I bought some dog food. And here we are, almost a decade later. Back in the bad old days, I only took photos or very terrible videos. But let me introduce you to the foxes I used to feed before Miss P. First, we have Tappy, a very old lady fox who used to tap on the glass long before Miss P did. Then there was the boy one, who was the only boy. Can you see that I was quite bad at doing names back then? He hated sharing food. He never took a scrap of food to any cubs ever. He's nothing like our Bruiser. The girls just had to put up with it. Although sometimes they gave as good as they got. The fox on the left there is the shy one, who was too scared to even set foot on the patio for at least a year. And then there was Limpy, another old girl who loved to glare. And finally, Fifth Fox. I named her Fifth because when I first started documenting the foxes on my Instagram, I thought I only had 4 foxes. But it turns out she and her sister, the shy one, were just swapping places. Which is very funny actually, considering that they both liked to share the boy one. There was definitely some kind of bigamy going on there. Although no one really seemed to mind. Especially not the boy one, who was living his absolute best life. Over the years, there were treats, laughs, run-ins with my cat Libby, summer nights with the shy one's greedy cubs, who all dispersed before I got the chance to know them as adults. But they were very cute at the time. I was also lucky enough to see the time that the shy one messed up and almost showed me that she has thumbs. I saw you try to grab that with your paw. By the start of 2019, both Limpy and Tappy had stopped visiting, but the golden trio of Fifth Fox, the shy one, and the boy one wouldn't last for long. Enter Miss P. In autumn 2020, a small, skinny, sickly-looking girl fox came to visit. None of my foxes were family to her. She was an outsider, and she was so brave just to be here. I mean, look at this, standing up to the boy one. He's twice her size. Miss Paulie, as she was known back then, had mange. What started as a bit of unkempt fur quickly turned into wounds and large bare patches. But a steady diet of mini beef pasties, her favourite picnic eggs, a few cheeky French fancies, and fresh livers soon helped her build up her strength, although we still needed to deal with those mange mites. After many attempts to find something she'd eat it in, Miss P finally ate her very smelly mange treatment in a bowl of cat food and ice cream. And after that, she was ready to begin her life as an absolutely spoiled fox. There's the Miss P we know and love. Miss P had to be very brave to stay in an area where she wasn't wanted, because the other foxes, especially Fifth, were horrible to her. Miss P had to learn to defend her food from the others. Here's the shy one having a go. But Miss P had her number. Fifth was vicious though.
Whoa! Oh, Miss Paulie!
Here are 2 more fragments of Fifth being absolutely horrible. One time I actually saw Fifth bite Miss P's tail and pull off a whole mouthful of freshly regrown fur. Just like now, Miss P suffered just as much from bites as she did from mange. But Miss P persevered. She stood her ground, came to an understanding with the boy one that he could sometimes share her food with her, if he was polite about it, which wasn't often, to be honest. Eventually, although the bites still happened, Miss P managed to integrate herself with an entirely new family of foxes. And I think they actually grew to like her a bit, because nothing has ever made me bring out the food as fast as when Miss P starts knocking on the door like that. So as Miss P worked on regrowing her fur, the shy one, Fifth Fox, and the boy one worked on letting a new member into their group. Because Miss P didn't just come for dinner. No, she came to hang out, to love, to kiss, to snooze, to gossip, to be part of the gang, to hang out on the patio for hours with friends, even if they did always try to take her chicken. The boy one was the worst. Fifth was still horrible, even though Miss P submitted to her. But Miss P made the best of it. During this unlikely friendship, Miss P's tail flourished again. But in early 2022, I had to say goodbye to the boy one and his family. Gradually, a new boy moved into the territory, and he brought his family along with him. But don't be sad, because that fox was Bruiser. Bruiser and his wife Tinytail moved in to be king and queen of my garden, and they were even kind enough to bring some children along with them. First, there was Belle, a daddy's girl who was not the smartest fox in the world. Very cute though, so we'll allow it. Then there was the very regal son, Hamlet, who was much better at getting treats than his sister Belle, much to his dad Bruiser's annoyance. Then we had the rarely seen Tonto, whose only real claim to fame was when he sang along to Elf with his dad Bruiser.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake.
And who could forget Valentine? As the absolute bravest of Bruiser and Tinytail's children, Valentine won hearts by eating broccoli, demolishing a full Christmas dinner, charming my fox-hating cat Libby. No, seriously, I think she was a bit in love with him. Oh, Libby, you were down bad. And girl, I can understand why. He's irresistible. And even Miss P agreed. Yep, Valentine and Miss P were very close. It was gorgeous to watch. She loved him so much. Now, you might be wondering why the boy one, the shy one, and fifth fox had to leave, but Miss P was allowed to stay. Well, I'm pretty sure it's because Miss P is part of the family. Although Bruiser and Tinytail are mates who love each other very, very much, I think this is Tinytail's second marriage, and Miss P is the daughter from her first. The reason I think Tinytail is Miss P's mum is because of things like this. Miss P acts submissively around Tinytail. She cries, she scurries, she makes herself small, she rolls over to show her tummy, she makes herself vulnerable. She's not scared of Tinytail, she's just being respectful. And aside from all the body language clues, I think they just look alike. That's Miss P's nose, definitely. In March 2023, Tinytail gave birth to a new set of cubs, and it was Bruiser's time to tell his sons to get lost. Silly Valentine. I missed him a lot. He always made me laugh. I fed him a cheeky burger the day before the cubs were born, and that was the last time I ever saw him. But I wasn't sad for long. Tinytail gave birth to 3 gorgeous little cubs, and they all came to visit me. Miss P was not such a fan of her new half-siblings, though. But who cares? I was in love. I called the first cub Boo Boo, and the second one Georgie. There was a third, who was very shy, and I hardly ever saw them, so I didn't even know there were 3 at first. I named the third one Vesper, after the Bond girl, because she was sneaky like a spy. Although, because it was very hard to tell them apart when they were little, the Boo Boo you see in most of these videos actually is Vesper. Skittish Boo Boo was the silent one all along. Due to Bruiser and Tinytail's excellent parenting, all 3 cubs grew up healthy and strong. Boo Boo, who has a round, chubby face and a dark tail, is still scared and skittish. As a spoilt daddy's girl, I'm afraid she grew up with a bit of an attitude problem. So she's become a bit of a tearaway, sitting on the lawn with her boyfriend and making Miss P very upset. But I've been trying my best to get her to be a good girl, and it seems to be working. Georgie, who has a white tip on his tail, is the bravest of the 3 cubs, which has driven Bruiser absolutely mad, because it's good to raise a strong son, but not when you have to share food with him.
Okay. Go on each.
Georgie is just such a good boy. I love you, Georgie. And finally, we have Vesper, who is a female version of Bruiser. Although her thin, pointy face is nothing like his round one, her tail is just the same. Very wispy, with a little hint of white on the end. Bless her, she also picked up his skill of picking up multiple pieces of chicken at once. Because when Tinytail had this year's cubs, Bruiser told her to stay home, and he'd bring dinner to her. And he really wasn't lying. Bruiser would pick up as much chicken as he possibly could and carry it all back home to Tinytail and their cubs, who were living somewhere close by. He also brought home some big, juicy lamb hearts, and even some steak. For a shy boy who wouldn't come anywhere near me when he first arrived, I was very proud of him. But unfortunately, Bruiser's reign was ending, because a new male fox was on the scene. Tiger. Tiger was a younger male looking for a home of his own, and Bruiser didn't want him to have his. So Bruiser chased Tiger away whenever he saw him, and got the battle scars to prove it. Although I only ever saw Bruiser win the fights and chase Tiger out of the garden, it was Bruiser who came off worse. Tiger even managed to bite little Georgie, who must have been sticking up for his dad. So, unfortunately, in the middle of April, Bruiser stopped visiting. He officially lost the territory to Tiger and moved Tinytail, their cubs, and also Georgie away to safety. And so, just like the boy one before him, we say goodbye to another king. Godspeed, Bruiser. So, who's Tiger? Named after the tiger who came to tea, Tiger is a young fox who saw free food and thought, you know what, I want this place. Which, although very upsetting, is very understandable. Initially, I didn't want to feed him because he made Miss P very upset. And nobody upsets my girl and gets away with it. He might be cute, but he was stealing food from Miss P and biting the boys' faces. Hardly the kind of fox we should be encouraging to stay. Despite stealing her food at every opportunity, Tiger had a crush on Miss P and even mated with her. Unsuccessfully. She never seemed to return his feelings, unlike her little sister Boo Boo, who is hopelessly in love with Tiger. But then Tiger lost half of his beautiful tail in what must be a Bruiser-related injury, and both Miss P and I softened a bit. I gave Tiger antibiotics for his tail injury, and some chicken of his own. But Tiger was on a mission to claim this land as his own, and that meant dominating all of the foxes, including Miss P.
No. Tiger. No, I can give you your own.
But he didn't want his own. He wanted Miss P's chicken. And Boo Boo's chicken. And then Miss P's chicken again, even though he hadn't eaten his own yet.
Hey, you got your own.
When Tiger stole 3 pieces of chicken from Miss P in a row without eating any of them, I decided that enough was enough. Hoping that Bruiser would still return, I decided to start chasing Tiger away and not feed him anything at all.
No, that's enough. Go away. No, go away.
It didn't make me feel good to do this. I felt terrible for Tiger, but I wanted to give Bruiser a chance to come back, and I didn't want Miss P to be upset. But Bruiser has never returned. My garden and all the surrounding area belongs to Tiger now. My only visitors are Miss P, who obviously we all love, Miss P's younger sister Vespa, who is potentially taking chicken home to Bruiser and his family, although we don't know for sure, and Miss P's other sister, Boo Boo, who spends a lot of her time hanging out with Tiger. She's a bit less shy than she was now, though. After months of not feeding Tiger, well, I might have to reconsider. Because if he's regained Miss P's affection, well, he can regain mine.
That was so sweet.
I'll always miss Bruiser and Tinytail, but there might be a good future that we could build here with Miss P and Tiger. And who knows, maybe she'll even get to be queen. But only if Tiger finally learns some manners.